Hi, my name's Sophie, and I wanted to share with you my story on domestic violence and how I survived. I've been contemplating doing this video for a while now. It's a very hard thing to talk about, especially if you're going to put it on the internet. But I really want to create some awareness and try and help women who are in the same situation that I was in 2.5 years ago. When you come out of these relationships and you're completely lost, like your self-esteem's being crushed, and you have to rebuild that. And I just found that there wasn't many videos out there that like I could relate with, and I just wanted to give you like a true, real story. Like the things I say are so honest and raw, and I'm not embarrassed about what happened to me. I'm proud that I'm out, and I'm happy and I'm free, and what I am today, I would never be like back then. My life was completely different. So I've had two abusive relationships. In fact, my only two boyfriends I've ever had were both very violent and mentally abusive. One of them I went out for 3 years and another for 5.5. So in total, that's almost 9 years worth of abuse. And people always say to me, like, why the hell would you stay that long? But in the beginning, it's not that bad. Well, it's not bad at all, actually. Like, it's like a loving relationship at first when you first meet. But I must admit, like when I met these guys, it was instant, like instant attraction, very intense, move very fast. And this is the warning sign in itself. Like when it does move that fast, you get sucked in, and like things that you would normally normally acknowledge, you dismiss, like weird behavior where they're rude to you. You let it pass because you do love that person and you do anything for them. And that was my problem, is where I should have said no, I just accepted it because at that time I was blinded by love. Also, as well as love, we have no self-worth, and your self-esteem is so low when you're in these relationships that you do put up the crap and you do ignore it because you think that's what you deserve, and they make you think like you've done something wrong to them, and that's why they treat you the way you do. So in both my relationships, I always felt like it was my fault. There was something wrong with me. Like I had something wrong with me that made people like them treat me the way they did. But really, it's the complete opposite. What it is they project all their insecurities and all their issues onto you, so they don't have to deal with it because you're dealing with their problems and then your own problems. This is where it gets so damaging. So for me, in my personal experience, physical violence wasn't actually that bad because you could recover and bounce back quite easily. So if you got hit in the face, the bruises go, and for a while you just have to put some makeup on. But mental abuse um, was the worst thing for me, and it was the thing that took me a very long time to recover from because you can't prove it, and it is extremely damaging. So as well as my self-esteem being damaged, I then suffered from mental health problems and depression. I became not suicidal, but there is a number of occasions during my relationship where I didn't know how to get out of it and I didn't know what to do. So it did cross my mind. Is it just easier to kill myself so that I don't have to deal with it? And it's scary that these people can control your moods to the point where you're out of control. Like, you can't control anything in your life. I literally felt like I had no control over anything. I wasn't allowed to think the way I wanted to think. I couldn't behave the way I wanted to behave. Um, Even with relationships with friends and family, any relationship that I had, he tried to destroy. With friends, he tried to turn my family against me and me against my family. And what they do is they love to isolate you. So these little comments and horrible things that they say, what they do over time is just keep chipping and chipping away until you believe everything that they say, and then you start to question everyone else. And the reason you can't get out of it is because you're so manipulated and so brainwashed that you are stuck in this horrible toxic mess, and it's what they create. And the reason they can control you is because they've just damaged you and mentally abused you for the last 5 years, so you don't know how else to think. So what I want to talk about now is how I got out of it. So the real turning point for me is one particular incident where we was at a party and a row started, and he punched me so hard in the face I thought he'd break my nose. And even after that, when we went outside, he continued to kick me and punch me and rip all my hair out, and he kicked me so hard in the hand that he broke my thumb. And it really scares me that it actually took for him to break a bone in my body for me to actually think, I've had enough, I can't do this anymore. What's scary is actually after the incident, I didn't actually break up with him then. I weirdly tried to fix it, as you do, I just basically wanted answers. Why did you do that to me? I just needed to know why. But I feel like because I had the upper hand because he'd attacked me, that for him to take back control and control the relationship, he stopped talking to me. And this is just something that he used to do a lot. So what they do is they stop talking to you for periods of time for no reason, and that is actually a form of abuse, which I later found out. But so he did this to gain control back, and what it actually did is it backfired because it gave me a chance to get out. So within that time where he stopped talking to me, I went to a counsellor because in my mind, all I did is cause problems. So I went to this counsellor, and within 20 minutes of speaking to her, she could clearly tell that there was something seriously wrong. And she actually advised me and said that she believed that my relationship was abusive. And what I did is I went home and I did some research, and she said that he could potentially have a personality disorder or a narcissistic disorder. So I didn't know any of this. So I went home and did a lot of research, and this is where the major turning point in my life started. Watching those videos was a real turning point for me because I could actually pinpoint what it was. I could actually walk away and be like, this is NPD abuse. It wasn't my fault anymore. I felt like a weight had been lifted off my shoulders because I generally believed for all that time that it was my fault, and really I know it wasn't my fault at all. He has issues, and I mean, I had my own issues. I really want to talk about codependency as well, which is my problem. But I finally found out, it wasn't my fault anymore. They were his problems. So after that, I did actually go to the police and press charges, and I had a restraining order put in. So for me, the restraining order really made such a difference because he couldn't come near me, he couldn't manipulate me, and it really helped me to start building my life back together. And that's what I did. But it's a very long and painful process. So I wasn't like this straight away. I wasn't happy straight away. I spent the last 2 years trying to rebuild my life. And so for me, after coming out of such a traumatic relationship, for me personally, I took antidepressants. I went to the doctors. I took antidepressants, and then I had my own counselling. So I had a lot of counselling as well, which I paid for myself. But I think I owe it to myself, and I think for people out there who are suffering with the same problem, you owe it to yourself. And it's the best money I ever spent. It changed my life, and it helped me deal with a lot of issues that if I never dealt with, this cycle and this circle of abuse would just carry on, because I never fixed it in my first relationship. I fell into the next relationship, and it was even worse, even more abusive, because I'd never dealt with those issues. And this is the first time in my life I'm dealing with these issues, and it is hard. It was so hard, and it was painful, and it's draining. But do you know what? There is light at the end of the tunnel. You really need to focus on yourself, and self-love is so important and key to staying out of abusive relationships, because you put yourself first, not in a selfish way, but just in a healthy, caring way. how are you going to help other people if you can't help yourself? For me, it was completely life changing, and it's so hard at first to really focus on yourself because you're so used to putting your energy elsewhere that it is you literally have to force yourself. So, like, little techniques that I used is I made lists and I wrote letters to myself, really kind letters, just nice things, saying nice and positive things about myself, and learning to love myself again, because all I did is hate myself. And I don't ever want to think like this again. And it's not healthy to him. Like, life's short, and why have so much negativity? Like, honestly, since coming out of this relationship and really working on myself and investing my time in therapy, CBT, I came off those antidepressants very quickly. I also did, and what I really recommend people who are in my situation to do is make a list of anything and everything you ever wanted to do when you was like in a restrictive relationship, and just go and do it. So for me, I always wanted to move to London. I moved to London. I went on holidays. I went to festivals. I just went out and lived my life, and I started living it not for someone else, but I lived it for me. And that's like it's life changing, and it's not selfish. Like, you only have one life, and why waste it, and why waste your time on people that don't care about you? Like, put yourself first, go out there and do everything that you want to do. Like, you're not a victim. Like, you are not a victim anymore. Like, you do not have to suffer this abuse anymore. Like, you're in control now, and just go and live your life and be happy. I mean, it is hard. Like, there is times where I always doubt myself still, and like, you will get flashbacks and you will suffer a relapse, but honestly, you just have to keep going and keep pushing yourself, and you will get there.